in an industry that is still stable. There's a lot of changes going on. However, the company that I'm with is very stable, and we're going to make it through these times, as well as the company that Jesse's with. We are set to help you all. And I want to encourage everybody, the best way to start getting back to normal is keep trying to do, what we've been doing, buying homes, selling homes. Because right now, there's still a lot of opportunities for folks to take advantage of a lot of good things that are happening, even with all this insanity going on.
Exactly.
First, I'd like to talk about the main loan programs. I'm sure a lot of folks have heard about these. You have your conventional home loan program. You also have your FHA home loan programs. You also have your VA loan programs. And you also have, I'm sure some of you may have heard, your USDA programs. We also do offer renovation loan programs, and we're going to get into detail of all of these as we go through this presentation. We're also going to talk about investment property loans as well. And some of you are out there looking at this going, with all the craziness going on, I'm sure there's going to be a great opportunity to invest in some good deals in real estate. Let's get into the conventional loans. Conventional loans is for people with better credit scores and lower debt to income ratios. It has very good interest rates. It's more for the folks that are on the upper end of the credit score range. I tell people this: if your credit score is below a 680 right now, you want to be looking at an FHA loan. Even if you're at a 680, a lot of times FHA is going to be a lot better option for you. This conventional loan can also be used for your primary home that you're buying to live in, a second home, or an investment home. It is a great tool for all of these. You can also, which is something a lot of people don't realize, is you can have a family member gift you 100% of your down payment. There's a big misunderstanding that a lot of people think that FHA is the only home loan that allows that. That's not true. You can do that with conventional as well. You can also have a non-occupying cosigner. What that means is, for a lot of you folks out there that are just getting done in school, or you're just starting in your career, and you have enough income that's going to be coming in, but not quite enough to show you'll be able to afford the home now, you can have a family member who's not going to live in the home do a true co-signing for you, so you're able to get in the home, qualify, and then in the near future be able to remove that co-signer off of the home loan for you. That's a very good one for a lot of folks getting out of college, starting to get into buying a home and don't want to get stuck in the rental game. A big misconception out there is people think when you're on a 20% down payment, or you need a 20% down payment to get a conventional loan. That is not true. We have conventional loan products as low as 3% down. However, the cost of a 3% down conventional option is not worth it. I recommend that if we're going to look at going conventional options, we want to look at 5% down option, 10%, 15%, depending on what your particular situation is. Allowable conventional seller paid closing costs. This is another great thing here. This is something your real estate professional, such as Jesse, would be able to work with the seller and have the seller cover some of your closing costs. I've always been under the mindset of, when you're buying a home, because interest rates, let's be honest, they're still very, very cheap. When you're borrowing money for as cheap as that it is available today, the less money out of your pocket, the better. I'd rather see you all move into a home and keep more money in your pocket. We can go all the way from 3 to 9% down payment, or 3 to 9% for the down payment, but we can also, for the closing cost, we can cover you can allow the seller to cover 3% of the closing cost. Okay, if you put 3 to 9% for a down payment. If you put anywhere between 10 and 24% for a down payment, the seller can pay all the way up to 6% of your closing cost. What this means to you here is 3% in a lot of cases will cover the majority of your buyer's closing cost. The 6% needed is when you get into the higher purchase price ranges of a home. that's when you'll need more towards the 6%. But for the most part, a good 3% will cover the majority of your buyer's closing cost. If you go with a 25% down payment, you can have all the way up to 9% of your closing costs covered. However, I have not, as long as I've been helping people buy homes, ever had the need to have 9% of the closing costs covered. And if you're needing 9% to have the closing costs covered, you might want to look at the purchase price range you're buying, or maybe the lender you're choosing, because they may be charging you quite a bit in closing costs. Now I'd like to talk about FHA loans. FHA loans are a fantastic product, especially for first-time home buyers, and especially for people that don't have perfect credit. It's a government program. It's funded by the Federal Housing Authority, which is insured by HUD. The minimum down payment for an FHA loan is 3.5% down payment. That means with as little as 3.5% down, you can become a homeowner. When you're working with somebody like Jesse, he'll be able to get the seller to cover some, if not all, of your closing costs, so you can literally get into a home that you're going to own for as little as 3.5%.
All right.
You get a feedback too. Not sure where that's coming from.
Jesse?
Yeah. Can you hear someone else? If I can.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to log off.
Okay.
Okay. It does carry private mortgage insurance for FHA. Okay.
Okay.
Yes, the FHA loan is for the life of the loan. However, I always ask this of a lot of folks. Do you honestly think this home that you're buying, you're going to be in it for the rest of your life? The mortgage you have on that home.
I don't know. Wait a minute.
Just hit your mute, Gente there. I'm sure one of our participants may be having issues with audio on their end. Okay, go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
Okay. And there's also a way that, depending on the down payment that you would like to use, that the FHA private mortgage insurance will not last for the life of the loan. So please don't let that scare you, because I know there's a lot of people that have heard that, oh no, the FHA loan's bad because the private mortgage insurance is for the life. When we sit down and go over the numbers, you'll see in a lot of cases that is really not something that you need to look at in a bad way. We can allow up to 100% gift funds. In other words, if you are getting out of college and you have a family member who is willing to help you out with the down payment, 100% of that can be in the form of a gift. You can have a lower credit score and a little bit higher debt to income ratios. However, this is something I'd really like to talk about here. Over the past week and a half, with all of this craziness going on, there's been a lot of changes. People with below 620 credit scores, there is not an FHA option available for them. All or almost all lenders have switched to a 620 and above. Some lenders have switched to a 640 and above. We just got notice today that there are some lenders out there all the way up to a 680 and above is required to even get an FHA loan. I encourage everyone, speak to somebody who has been in the mortgage business for quite a length of time so you can know exactly who you're working with and get honest answers. Right now, the market is changing dramatically. I would not let that scare you as long as you have the right team members in place on the real estate side as well as the financing side. With an FHA loan, we can also use non-occupying co-signers. Go right back to what we talked about on the conventional. That will allow for you to have a family member help you out if you're just getting out of school, your income is not quite where we need it to be for you to qualify. You can use a co-signer who's not going to live in that home with you. to help you get the home. Before, we used to be able to qualify without a credit score. Unfortunately, that is not available at this time. When that does come back, then I will let everybody know that that option is back available again. People ask a lot, can I purchase condos and townhomes with an FHA loan? The answer is yes, you can. There are certain requirements on condos. If you're interested in purchasing condos, or that's the type of home you're looking at, I encourage you all to get with Jesse, and then you and I can get connected, and we'll see exactly what we'll need to see if the condo you're looking at qualifies. Seller can pay up to 6% of your closing costs. Typically, we will not need all 6% for closing costs. Really, the only time I see we need that much is when you're buying a home, typically $100,000 and less, just because closing costs are more of a fixed number, not necessarily a percentage. I also next like to talk about veterans loans, or VA loans. These loans are offered to our military, both active and non-active, retired from the military as well. We here at Hancock Mortgage and the McKinley team look very highly at our veterans who've helped protect our freedoms here in America. This does allow for a zero down payment option. That doesn't mean that it's zero money out of pocket. However, there is no down payment required. Your certificate of eligibility will determine the amount of the loan that you will qualify for a VA loan. And we will get a copy of your DD-214s if you are no longer active military. And that will allow us to get the certificate of eligibility. VA does have an upfront funding fee, but it does not have a monthly mortgage. Some of the veterans that are disabled, that funding fee is waived for certain disabled veterans as well. Co-borrower, if you are going to purchase this with a spouse, they must be occupying with the spouse. In other words, you can't have a co-signer with this program that is not occupying the home, and they must be a spouse. It can't be your brother or your sister. It has to be your actual spouse. The VA can also be used on condos or townhomes. So if you're interested in condos or townhomes and you're a veteran, this loan qualifies for that as well. The seller can pay up to 4% of the closing cost. Typically with the VA loans, and typically with the price range, 4% will more than cover the necessary closing cost. So in essence, you can almost, as a veteran, get into a new home with almost no money out of pocket. USDA. A lot of folks have heard of this, but don't really know what it is. USDA is sponsored by the United States Department of Agriculture. It's typically for rural land that's outside of the city. It does offer the ability for zero down payment with a 640 minimum credit score, and it does have a household income cap of $75,650. However, the household income is going to vary on location of where the home is and number of people living in the home. If you are interested in a USDA loan, this is something you definitely want to get with your real estate professional as well as your mortgage professional to see what you qualify for on the USDA, as well as what areas of homes qualify for the USDA. Jesse can attest to this. You see an area where one side of the street is USDA, but the other side is not. Like I said, this is specific to the address, and you can also go to the USDA's website and check as well. You can plug in an address and see if that address qualifies for the USDA program. USDA does carry a guarantee fee that is used for the program, and it does have a monthly mortgage insurance for the life of the loan. So there is a upfront that is rolled into the loan guaranteed fee, and then there's a small monthly private mortgage insurance on this loan. It can also be used on condos and townhomes as well. It does allow for seller's concessions up to 4%. So this is another loan here that if you qualify for, you can purchase a home with no money down, as well as most of your closing costs covered by the seller. Next, I'd like to discuss renovation mortgages. I like this loan typically more for people who have already purchased homes or are very experienced home buyers, because these type of loans here, people use these to go buy homes that I call ugly homes, homes that are dated, need work, need renovation, but can be purchased at a discount. So you can buy a home below market in an established neighborhood and receive the money to fix the home up and make the home the way you want it to look. It's a conventional loan program. It does require a 5% down payment for purchase. It requires 20% down for investment properties. This is another product that can be used for a home you're going to live in or an investment property. You can also use this loan for a home you currently live in. If you have a home that you don't want to sell that needs a whole lot of work, but you don't want to take out a line of equity or something like that, and you'd like to take advantage of the lower interest rates, but don't want to get stuck in a cash out loan, this is another great loan that will allow you to do a refinance, pull that money out without being considered a cash out loan, and get the home brought up to the standards you'd like to live in. Once again, you can buy distressed homes below market value. And once again, that really depends on you getting with the right team member on the real estate side of things that can help you locate these homes. Working with someone like Jesse, he does a fantastic job of being able to locate these type of distressed properties that are bought below market. The appraised value of the home, this is something here that's really important on these renovation mortgages, is based on the after improved value. So I'll give a quick example here. If you're looking at a home that has an after repaired value of $150,000, but needs $30,000 in work, but you can pick it up for $110,000, we're going to be able to give you that $30,000 to do the renovation you need on that home. I hope that makes sense to everyone. You can show you that how you can have the equity in the home from day one, get the money at closing set in escrow to pay the contractor to bring the home up to standards. And in a lot of cases, when everything's said and done, you have equity left in that home from day one. You can buy a home in an established neighborhood and make it your own. I know new homes look nice. A lot of people get all excited about new homes, but let's be honest. What is that neighborhood going to look like in 5 years? You don't know. What's the quality of construction? You can go find an older home that is in an established neighborhood that you know the strength of the neighborhood, and you also have trees in the neighborhood that have been there instead of the ones that were all ripped out and brand new little trees were planted that are barely growing at all. We also handle paying the contractor. You don't have to worry about writing checks to the contractor. We will handle all of that during the construction phase. You can do any work desired. You can even do upgrades. You can have a kitchen ripped out and put in your dream kitchen. Who is a renovation home loan for? This is very important. Someone who can let the general contractor do the work. This is not a home loan for somebody who wants to strap on a tool belt and do all the work themselves. That's not who this loan is for. This is also for someone who has the vision to see what a home can be, but not what it currently is. If you can walk into an ugly house and envision what it'll look like after all the work is done, this is for you. If you can't, then I strongly suggest don't even look at this option. This is also designed for someone who does not have to move in right after closing. You want to have the work done before you move in. You don't want to be in there waking up in the morning saying good morning to your contractor and his workers in there renovating your home. This is also great for someone who wants to buy a home below market, someone who also has a little bit of cash in the bank. If you don't have any money for reserves, you're not going to want to look at this loan. Who is a renovation loan not for? People who have no vision to see through an ugly home. Once again, if you can't see through the ugly to what it can be, don't bother looking at this loan and don't bother looking at ugly houses. People who want to do the work themselves, that is not the field you want to be in. You want to go to work and do the job you're a professional at. Let the other professionals do the work on your new home. People who need to move in right after closing. Once again, get the work, you want the work to be done, make the home beautiful so when you move in, it's ready to move into. And people who have limited funds. If you don't have a lot of funds to work with, we have plenty of other options to help you, but you don't want to go the renovation loan route. Now I'd like to talk about investor financing. I'm sure we may have some people here listening to this who want to find out more about investor loans, because let's be honest, unfortunately, some people are going to get hurt in this situation that we're going through right now, and they may lose their home, and there may be some opportunity to pick up some distressed property at a little bit of a discount because the property is in need of a lot of work. We have down payment options available from 15 to 25%. We have hard money loans for people who want to buy ugly houses and flip them. We also have another loan called the Investor 100 program. And yes, that is virtually 100% financing. We have three parts of a loan. There are three, I'd like to talk about this part here, the three parts of a loan. This is very important. There are three things that make up the borrower in a loan. Credit. Credit, let's be honest, that is the step number one. If you have credit issues, we can help you. However, that's the first thing we need to look at so we can see exactly where you're at and put together a game plan for you. Income is the second. If you can't prove income, there's not a loan option for you. Home loans are for people that can verify and prove income and be able to demonstrate that. Assets. We look at the assets of a borrower. We're not saying you need to have a whole lot of assets. However, typically when buying a home, you need to have a little bit of money set aside for that. Not a lot, but a little bit. Let's talk about the credit. There's three credit bureaus that we look at: TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. Notice I didn't say Credit Karma. Just so everybody knows, Credit Karma is a nice little thing that's made up by a separate company to sell you stuff. It's not real. It's a made up number designed to give you something as a score, but we do not use that, and it really never even comes close to what your actual mortgage credit score is. Another thing to be very careful of, if you have maybe not paid a couple of credit cards in the past and they went to collections, they may be open judgments. Loans cannot be closed with open judgments. However, we look at all of this and we analyze all of this before we have you going out looking at homes. Because we don't want you to have Jesse take you out, find you a home, you and your family fall in love with it, and then we find out there's a $10,000 judgment against you and we can't help you. We handle all of this up front, so we have a game plan put together for you. You know exactly where you stand from day one. Credit dictates the programs and loan requirements. Let's be honest, the system's a little prejudiced. The better the credit, the better deal you get as far as interest rate and down payment sometimes, as well as conditions. The lower your credit, you're usually going to get more conditions from an underwriter. That's just the facts. That's just the way it is. FHA can require a 12-month history below a 620, but like I said before, this just changed over the past week and a half. 620 FHA loan programs are no longer available for us. Once again, FHA has no credit score requirements. Lenders have their own, and guess what? We have ours, and it is 620 and above. Please understand that if you're at a 620 now, we can help you, but I strongly recommend you get with us and sit down and we can look at some things to help raise that credit score and things you can do to raise that credit score. Once again, here's with VA, we used to be able to help people down to a 580 credit score. That has also moved to a 620 and above. USDA is a 640 minimum credit score. Conventional is a 620 minimum credit score at this time. However, I tell everybody this even before all these crazy times, if you have below a 680, we really want to look more at your FHA loans. That's just a better loan for you, going to give you a lot better interest rate and a lot less trouble in underwriting. Our credit reports are valid for 90 days. When we put together your initial game plan for you and have your approval letter ready, that's good for 90 days. We're not the type of company that's going to pull your credit 20 times. We don't like pulling credit. If I could get away with not pulling your credit, I would. However, I have to put together a game plan for you. We're only going to pull it once. Your approval letter will be great for 90 days. Employment and income. Need to have a 2-year work history. Doesn't mean you need to have worked for 2 years. We have to have a history, whether it's working combined with schooling, working combined with you took some time off because you had a child. We can put all that together. Just have to have a 2-year history. Changing from a W-2 to 1099 requires 2 years unless it's in the exact same type of job, same type of field. Overtime, commissions, bonuses are normally figured on a 2-year average. If you do not have a 2-year average on your overtime bonuses, we're not going to count those. And I always recommend to people, you really don't want to have to count on your overtime in order to qualify to purchase the home. Because guess what? Working overtime is great, but you get tired after a while working all that overtime. Part-time employment can be used if there's a 2-year history. Self-employment, taxes are going to tell us the story of your income. I understand there's a lot of self-employed people that write a lot of stuff off. I have no problem with that. I probably feel the same way as you do about the government, especially now. However, I have to base all of the income based on what you told the IRS you made. If you told them you made $12,000 last year, that's the income I've got to give you. Down payment and assets. Any money you use must be seasoned for 12 months. Please, if you have mattress money, let me know that up front when we're working on getting your home buying game plan put together. Big, large deposits in the bank make for all kinds of trouble when going through buying a home. Gift money needs to be seasoned for 1 month. That means the person who's gifting you money needs to be able to provide documentation to show they've had those funds for at least a month. Earnest money deposit checks should be provided with the contract. So when Jesse goes and helps you find your new home, please make a copy of that earnest money check and send it over to us because we will need it. Large deposits will need to be explained or traced. Please, if you have a large deposit, let's go over all those items in the beginning when we're putting together your game plan so the home buying process can be smooth and easy. NSF charges on your bank statement. We don't like to see those. If you have that on some bank statements, I encourage everybody, we will sit down and have a one-on-one consultation with you and go over everything on your game plan. We will meet you like we're meeting now. We can do teleconference meeting. I still even meet people to this day face to face. There's a great park right up the road from where I'm at. I have no problem sitting down with people face to face. This is a big decision that people, when they go to buy a home, people like Jesse and I are going to be here to help you all. If you want to sit down face to face, we're here. If you want to sit down via the computer, back and forth on conferences like this, we have no problem with that. We'd love to be here to help you with that. Pre-qual versus pre-approved. This is very, very, very important. Pre-qualification is usually taken over the phone. Credit may be run, but are normally not collected and reviewed. You have to understand, credit is only one part of the loan. If I don't have all your income and asset documentation and I just have your credit, we've only done part of the job. I like to do all the heavy lifting in the front, because once you're out there looking for a home, you don't want to have to track down a bunch of stuff and do a lot of work. Your work is simply going and finding the home that's right for you and your family. This is very, very important. I and the company I work with, we go on the pre-approval side, not the pre-qualification side, because we want your home buying experience to be pleasant. That's why Jesse and his team work with us, because we make it a pleasant experience for people. Pre-approval, we've run credit, we've collected and reviewed income, assets, and tax documents. We've also ran your loan through the preliminary automated underwriting system. In other words, we've actually had your file preliminarily underwritten. When I give you a pre-approval letter, it's ironclad. As long as you don't mess your credit up, lose your job, or spend the money you have in the bank, you're going to get to closing. You consider that an ironclad approval letter. Pre-qual letters are basically worthless. There's a lot of internet companies out there. Oh, here's your pre-qual, here's your pre-qual. And then you get under contract on a home and find out, well, we can't quite get you approved. Please, if you're out there looking to buy a home, do not get stuck with just a pre-qual. You want to make sure you have a pre-approval letter that's been reviewed and preliminarily underwritten. Appraisals are just an opinion of value. However, it's the opinion that the banks go by of the appraisers. FHA appraisals stay on a property for 6 months, and you can only get one appraisal with an FHA. Whatever the value comes back at on an FHA, that's what the value is. If there's any question on what we think the value is, a good real estate agent such as Jesse, if it's a difficult area to really understand, someone like Jesse will make sure to have the comps ready for the appraiser so he can do a correct assessment of value of the home you're wanting to buy. FHA has a flip rule. That means if you see a home that was just renovated and you're trying to go FHA, that seller must have owned it for at least 91 days before you can buy it with an FHA loan. What happens when a house goes under, or a house under appraises? You can rebut the appraisal with proper comps and explanation. Proper comps are within 1 mile and sold within the last 12 months. The buyer can bring the difference to the table, but that does not count towards the down payments. It's in addition to. And we've got to wrap this up here pretty quickly because we're almost out of time. We've got another class that'll be starting here shortly. You can also lower the price for the borrower. Jesse's done that a lot of times if the appraisal comes back a little bit lower than everybody anticipated. And a lot of times the seller accepts that. You can also walk away from the deal. Go over these documents really quick of what's needed. Driver's license, social security card, permanent resident work permit, 2-year federal tax returns, 2 years W-2s, 1099s, 30 days paycheck stubs, 2-month statements, including checking, savings, retirement, all pages. What we offer. We do have credit repair programs if your credit's been beat up a little bit. We have first-time home buyer programs. We're very investor-friendly financing. I love working with investors. If you're thinking about getting involved in real estate investing, you definitely want to sit down and talk with Jesse and I. We can show you the right way to do real estate investing. We have 203K and home style renovation loans. Those are the renovation loans we discussed earlier. We stay in contact with everybody during the entire process. You want to work with somebody who you can talk to. I give out my own personal cell phone number. You can call me. I'm very easy to get in contact with. So is Jesse. We offer construction financing if you want to have a home constructed and built. We offer niche financing. And we give you an in-depth comprehensive analysis of your home financing options. We have products for everybody. Conventional loans with 3% down, USDA 100% financing. We used to have FHA with no or low FICO scores. Unfortunately, that is gone away. Hard money loan, that's for our investors. Quick closings. We can still get a loan closed within 21 to 30 days. However, with what's going on in the market, I'm telling people to plan on 45 days. We do in-house underwriting. That means I can go talk to the underwriter face to face if I have any questions. We also fund the loans ourselves. We have the Investor 100 program. I'd like to wrap this up with, if you guys have any questions or would like to know if there's anything we can do for you, because I don't want to do this here in a public place, I'm going to encourage everyone listening. There's a number directly right there. I encourage you to text Jesse and I with your name and telephone number and ask us questions you have. We would love to discuss with you your particular situation on what your financing questions are and needs are for your family. We just don't want to put it right all over the internet here. That's why we're offering this number to you directly. Please text it and give us your name and number, and we will call you back and answer all your questions. Jesse, do you have anything you would like to add with us?
Thanks so much, John. I really appreciate you doing this morning or today. And thank you all for participating, joining in with us. If you have any questions, feel free to text the number 281-532-8187. We'll be glad to answer all of your questions. Feel free to reach out to us. We'll look forward to doing business with you soon and hope that this information was helpful. We're going to have some other updates and other classes to come in soon. So just stay in touch. We'll be looking forward to hearing from you soon. Thanks so much again, John.
Thank you, Jesse. I appreciate you, and I look forward to talking with everybody in the near future.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.